Hi there, this is Jazzman. We're going to talk about procedural generation today. I've got a video or a bunch of video clips here about Touch Maze, the game that I created that uses procedural generation to create the levels. Um, I want to just talk through the process that I took. It started out as a bit of a daunting task, to say, oh, how do I create levels? But with the processes that I've used over the years to just split things into smaller and smaller tasks until you can handle them, this is became quite a simple task. So we're going to walk through the different steps that I took in the hopes that if you've got a similar problem, you can break your problem up into smaller steps like this. I'm not going to touch code in this particular video. If you're interested in actually viewing the code that I used to do this, let me know in the comments. I can take the time for sure to create it, but otherwise I was just going to take the time to go through the step-by-step process approach. So step one here was to have a proof of concept. I started in Unity. This is obviously the Unity engine here, and just created a small section of a maze with the assets that I had purchased off the store. And you can see this allowed me to create the prefabs needed in order to do the actual generation. So I'm just going to start the video clip here. Um, so yeah, this first part is hard coded in, and it was allowed me to create the prefabs necessary to actually get them in to the code. The part that's just ahead in the front of the screen there um, is the first procedural generation. It's got the 5 blocks or so that are all the same side, and you can see the step one was actually getting the roof generating blocks each time. You can see they are not the right level at all. They're jagged and such, but each time that we refresh this, the blocks are different. So that was step one, just to get the prefabs and then have the blocks. Step two then is to do the same thing to the floor. And you can see now that is the case in this demo video. We've got the straightaway here of the blocks that are there, and then you can see the blocks. They're definitely not matching up. It is not worrying about moving them up and down. This was just a matter of getting the prefabs into my code and then having the code pick one each time it was needed. You can also see there's no background at this point, but compared to the generation of the levels, the background is peanuts coding. So you don't worry about that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you get the prefabs in and the generation going. The next part of the process was then to take the roof and actually figure out the y coordinates, moving it up and down. As I said, I can go through code if it's desired, just give a comment. But this next step is just to ensure that the roof is moving up and down. Now, as you'll see, even though this is in fact moving up and down properly, you'll see, like in this case, the roof disappears off the screen. So there's obviously some extra coding that needs to be done at a later step. Step 4 would be to repeat this process then for the floor. You can see now the floor is moving up and down in an appropriate process. Um, this was also before a little bit of tweaking with some of the settings to make sure that we could get through the maze. You can see I'm crashing a lot, and in fact there was a blockage, so you couldn't even get through. That's another thing that happened that we'd have to fix later on. But you can see the step was successful in that I was able to get the floor to move up and down according to the generation. You can also see I'm using a dog bone to denote the player. That was just again a testing piece to show where the player was and to make sure that it was on my mouse cursor. Of course, during the game that actually changes. So then the last step was just tackling some of those issues that you saw with the maze crashing into each other. Even at the step here, the fact is that there were a couple of bugs that happened very infrequently, but through the testing phase they became apparent and just had to tackle them. But as you can see, the general idea of the game is now complete. So yeah, that's kind of the idea of this. Very simple. It became very simple. It started out as a challenging problem of how do I actually do this, but then you just break it up into small steps. You have your proof of concept, and then tackle the top in a certain way, then the bottom, and then just take the top a little further and the bottom a little further. So yeah, again, leave me a comment if you'd like to see code. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe and a like would be fantastic. We'll chat soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.